Hey everybody, it's Monday, which means it is time for the Troubleshooters. I am Heath, aka the Diabear GM, aka Captain Sack. I am everywhere on the internet as either Captain Sack or the Diabear Adventuring Company or Diabear GM. We are starting again tonight with the Troubleshooters after last week's episode, which I'll get into in a minute. First of all, let's do some announcements. So, with December coming up, normally we do holiday breaks and things like that. Anyways, so keep in mind that for the 2 weeks of Christmas and New Year's, we will not have any shows. And from what it sounds like, we're going to have a break in a bunch of shows over the December December time frame. Anyways, I know that Otter, correct me if I'm wrong. The otter in my ear. Thursday nights, Thursday and Saturday. So Thursday nights and Saturday night, there will be no games throughout December. And depending on when Tuesday night ends, they may take a break for that until the first of the year. So, or until the new year. We also will be breaking for that time period. And this season may be 2 episodes shorter than the rest of them, just so that I can give everybody some time. This is the way it goes. Now, with us taking breaks doing shows, though, that doesn't mean we're not going to be doing something or doing shows or playing around and things like that. We are in the talks of having an evening with the DMs, and we are trying to get that into the works now. Yes, I know, Otter, that I have not done that post thing that I need to do. I see you. I know, but I could feel it. Like, we just had this conversation. What are you doing? Go fill out the thing. So there's that. Today the DM registrations for Winter Fantasies went up, and your boy has signed up. I will be in Fort Wayne, Indiana, from February the 2nd to the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. So 6th. Yes. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Games officially start Wednesday evening. Thursday being their first full day. They do one game in the evening on Wednesday, and then they do full games every day except for Sunday. They have 2 slots on Sunday. So I'll be there running games all throughout the week. So if you get a chance to get a Fort Wayne, it's a lot of fun. It is just D&D, but it is all Adventures League. In the past, we've had such names as Mike Merles running an experience, one of the D&D experiences. We've had Satine, Jenny Loveday, Tony Winslow Brill, who you've seen on here several times, Thomas Valley, a bunch of the guys from the D&D world and other places. Will be there, and so will I in person. We also have the option to play online if you are so inclined to do that, as opposed to being in person. I like my fat face is like either too high for this, so I can't lean forward. Because if I set my head up to look at the camera, the reflections in my glasses, so it's like I'll just keep my head turned slightly to the side. I can't do that either because then you see the background is like not through my glasses. Anyways, so there's that going on. I don't know. We just got wrapped up with Thanksgiving here in the States. Your boy here spatchcocked a turkey. That sounds really dirty, but what that means is I cut the breastbone out and then butterflied it flat onto the pan and roasted it that way. And it was super delicious and moist. I will suggest to anybody, if you're going to cook a turkey, there's only one way to do it, and that is a spatchcock. Okay, I'll call it butterflying from now on because I think that makes some people uncomfortable. But anyways, I did that for all of us and made a bunch of stuff, and we had a good time. We went to see a movie, as is our tradition. After Thanksgiving dinner, we go to the theater and watch a movie. We went and saw Encanto, and while it was cute, it was not my favorite Disney flick. It was all right. It wasn't bad, but it was all right. A bunch of new shows coming up. The new book for Strixhaven will drop in later the month of December. I keep thinking it's not December yet. It's still November, albeit the next to last day of November. It is still November. What other announcements are there right now? I think that's pretty much it. Don't forget we've got the new Strixhaven coming out. A lot of stuff is on sale for D&D Beyond right now. If you want to get a legendary bundle, now's the time to go pick one up. They're super cheap right now. I say super cheap. Compared to their normal pricing, they're less expensive. How's that? So go pick those up. I think that's about it. So last week, they stepped through the portal, and the world went topsy-turvy as they realized that they are not. Well, I mean, they're still figures within the world that they live, but that the world that they live has been manipulated from others. And that doorways leading to other versions of the very same Earth that they were in exist. Or I shouldn't say the very same Earth, same slightly modified Earth. Some where the Allies lost World War I, some where the Americas never got involved in World War I, somewhere there was a complete and utter decimation of Europe and other things. They didn't go through those doors because as they met Howie, he introduced the idea that their world was constructed in such a way thanks to the machinations of their nemesis. He introduced the Voynich manuscript, which led to them understanding the Librum Arcanum, which led to magic being a thing in this world. Reeling from this, Colm seems to need some time to grapple with what this means. And in the meantime, the party set off on a steamer ship out of Scarborough, heading to Fredrikstad to go see Munen's parents and check on them concerning his dream that he had to make sure that they are okay, especially since the message that they sent didn't go quite how they wanted it to. But without further ado, and no more honeyed words from me, let's begin this night's episode of The Troubleshooters. time of year finds Norway to be crisp and brisk. The green that normally would follow in the spring and summer has faded away to the browns, oranges, and ruddy colors of a early fall. You all tuck your jackets around yourselves, pulling your collars up to keep some of the cold out as you step off the train that had taken you from Fredrikstad to Oslo itself. The city is a little more bustling than what you recall. Um, it seems as though some sort of preparations are underway for something, and the city and the town itself is in full swing. Since you know the way there, I'll let you lead the party to where you want to go.
Sure. I guess right to the shop then.
All right. Is the shop in the middle of the town, in the downtown area, or is it on the outskirts of town? Where did you have
It's a bit more
found it?
towards the outside of town.
Okay. Making your way towards where the shop is, leaving the hustle and bustle of the city behind you, you find yourselves standing in front of the shop a scant about hour later. Walking across the town over a miles is not a quick thing. So about an hour or so later, you find yourself standing in front of the shop, and it seems as normal as always.
I
Smoke trails from the chimney stacks. You can smell the very familiar smells of the ferrous metals that are being smelted or hammered on. There doesn't seem to be any activity or ringing of hammers, but it doesn't seem like it's empty inside. It seems as though there people are about and around.
well, I wouldn't have walked in silence the whole way there. I would have been pointing out buildings and businesses I remember from last I was here to the party as we traversed through town.
Okay.
Over there's a great place to drink. They've got really food. Down that way a bit. Really grisly blacksmith, but fantastic with metal.
Tell the party what your parents are specifically geared at.
What they are
Like,
geared
are
at?
like what do they make?
My mom is a tinkerer and a gunsmith.
Okay.
My father makes sure she, as a female business owner, isn't bothered.
That sounds fair.
Most people look at a large Norse fellow and just don't want to deal with it. But she's been tinkering and doing her thing for longer than I can remember.
All right. But gunsmiths by trade.
Yes, gunsmith by trade. Dad helps out
All
in the
right.
shop, but Mom does most of the fiddly bit.
All right. As you stand outside the shop, the door opens, and you see a young man, probably about 17, 16, 17 years old,
Mm-hmm.
um, wearing an apron. You see him carrying rifled, rifled tubes, so barrels for guns. Some of them seem to have slightly off, like slight curvature to them as they are held together, like in his hands, like this. And a familiar female voice, strong and imposing, at least to this young man, I'm sure, rings out from inside the door, inside the shop, as she tells him in Norwegian, Don't let him cheat you out of your money. I should say my money. He bends those properly, or else I'll have his ears. A statement that you yourself have heard at least once in your life.
Real quick, I'm getting a message that we have no audio coming through on the stream side. Can
Oh, no.
somebody... Wait, he can hear me. Can you hear everyone else?
Testing.
Hold on. Before we get too far into this, I want to make sure it's going through to the stream side. Okay, I've got one person saying they hear audio, one person saying they don't. This is bizarre.
You have one saying they hear it and one saying that they don't.
Jojo, you're in chat. Can you hear everyone else as well as me, or just me?
Sorry, I had my mic off. Please check that your stream is not muted.
Yeah. Cap is just
Okay,
a bit quiet. Hold on, I can fix that. Give Cap a little bit of a bump.
Testing.
I'll turn my stream up to see if it's working.
First time chat from the viewer, Rarefied Drake. Well, hello, Rarefied Drake.
Hey, what's up, Nate? Cap is on a different microphone than usual today, so the audio is a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm on my camera because I was on these, but they said that I sounded really distant. And I said, that's probably because they're really far away from my mouth. See how far they are.
Yep,
If I lean into the camera like this, I just look like I'm glaring at you all.
I'll bump up your audio a little bit, Cap.
Sure.
And we'll see where we end up.
This fat head is why I don't wear hats. It just looks like somebody put a hat on a pumpkin. or some other gourd.
Okay, are we good now?
All right, testing.
Overall seems a bit more quiet than normal. Nothing has changed. I keep bumping people up. Okay.
Glad to hear I'm much better now.
Sure. So, can you repeat what got yelled out the shop one more time?
Yes.
I was distracted with messages.
That's okay. As you see the young man coming out with barrels that appear to have been slightly bent, a stern, strong female voice from inside says, "Tell him to bend them back properly and don't waste my money, or else I'll have his ears." A phrase that you have heard yourself a time or two in your youth.
Oh. I'll nod at the fellow who walked out, and I guess I'll head into the shop.
Nervous, wide eyes nod back at you as he seems to scurry in the direction of the blacksmith shop. The door opens into a very familiar sight of the shop itself. There isn't anything different about this place, and as soon as you enter in, the smell of sweat and heated metal, um, metal being shaved from the lathe, all of those things just they come back to you. A flood of nostalgia and memories washes over you. You see standing at a uh, at a turner, this metal device that's got a pit on the inside, and you run the barrel along it. As it does, it rotates the barrel and it rifles it out. You see uh, the slightly broadened shoulders of a normally a small, like a diminutive figure, but yet at the same time you can tell that this is a person who has worked their whole life. Her hair, blonde, but now blonde, right? Blonde with gray shot through some of the strands, is braided and is tucked into the back of her shirt. She, without turning around to look and see who comes in, she says, "If that is a customer, I'll be with you in a moment. If you're back, Ested, I'll box your ears."
Was it a male or a female that came out of the shop to head to the blacksmith?
Male,
Male.
young man.
Must you terrorize the boy so?
You watch as the shoulders stiffen and the machine is shut down. She turns and looks at you for a long moment before rushing over to get to you to wrap her arms around you in a hug. She doesn't say anything, she just embraces you. Uh, describe your mother, Moonin.
I mean, to be fair,
She's a sneeze.
you pretty much got down what's in my notes. there's not a whole lot physically else to describe.
She's stout. She's worked her whole life.
She's what she doesn't have in height, she makes up for in stature.
Yes, yes. She looks like she bench presses people. She peels away from you for a moment, dabbing at her eyes, and says something about, it's dusty in here." She kind of does that thing where she holds you at arm's length, her arm's length, to look at you for a moment. "Let me take you in. They haven't been feeding you. You look hungry."
I'll never say no to a home cooked meal. Mom, these are my friends. They traveled here with me. We have Gej, Emrys, and Lysandra.
And without asking, without any aplomb, she embraces each and every one of you, just like, well, welcome. She comes up to just underneath Gej's, like, because if I'm not mistaken, Gej is like 6'3" or 6'5", somewhere around that range. He's a big boy. So she's she's short on him. She's probably just about Emrys's height.
I'm 5'5".
Yeah, so she's just about Emrys's height. But she's strong. She gives each one of you like one of those
That cracks.
one of those
Great.
cracking hugs. We'll shut down the store. Come on. And she goes and shuts the door and hangs the sign on it. She goes, "Ah, one moment." And she opens the door and yells, "Estat!" like loudly, filling up the area. She waits for a few moments, and the young man that was holding the barrels is still holding the barrels. He's breathing heavily. "Did I forget something?" "No, we're closing up. Put those down." And so he looks confused and then just like puts the barrels down. She like closes her eyes, pinches the bridge of her nose. "Not there. Back where's they go? Back over there."
I'm just
And
gonna
he's like,
pick up the pile and go put them away.
"Come, we're eating." And he looks very confused, but he doesn't argue with her. So um She closes up shop quickly, walks upstairs to where their house is above the shop. As you get upstairs, you hear what you didn't hear earlier, which is the sound of somebody whistling, like whistling a tune to themselves, just enjoying just enjoying the day. As you get up the staircase, um, you hear your father's voice. What are you doing up here? We closed this morning. And she doesn't say anything. She just steps out of the way and lets you come up the staircase.
I heard it was time for some food.
And again, he is closer to your height, so he's like excited to see you and immediately embraces you and like pats you back hard on the back, and like pulls you back again at arm's length and then like runs his hand like over the top of your head, like through your hair. You look well, boy. Are you well?
These folk make sure I stay that way.
Then they are friends of ours as well. Come, let's have a meal. And he sets about going through the kitchen carefully, along with his wife, carefully pulling together a meal over the next like half hour as they talk about what you've been doing. Of course, doing the whole thing of tell us everything.
I will run them through most of it, leaving out our friend who seems to be a multi-planar being,
Mm-hmm.
but talking about the spirits we've gone after, the running all over the place. Finding a unicorn.
a, a unicorn,
It was trapped
perhaps.
in something called stasis.
Perhaps you have been drinking too much. Huh? You're shell shocked. Did you take any wounds in combat?
Nothing too serious.
Ah. And she like looks you over one, like up and down, making sure you're okay. As they sit back finishing the meal, hearing the stories about you guys traveling all over Europe and to the New World.
They'd appreciate
You're,
that.
yeah, and they're excited to hear about it. They're interested to hear about all the things that you came across and dealt with. They ask lots of questions to expound upon those things. Um, Finally, your father leans back, and you notice that his plate. You guys probably cleaned your plates. His plate seems as though he's nibbled at things, but hasn't really eaten anything. But he leans back and he says, "Not that we aren't glad to have you here, but you have come a long way." Switching to English so that everybody can understand. Why are you here to stay? Or is there something else that's brought you here?
Can Liz do a medicine check to see how the parents look?
Yeah, you can give me a medicine check, absolutely.
All right, hold on just 1 second. I've got to grab dice.
Sure. The program tried to blur your beard. Mine doesn't do that. It's just my fat chin. Although I am going to let it grow. I'm going to keep it shaped here and then grow out to about that long.
Join me.
Just not that long. Just a little bit. And just like through here. See if I can't hide what I would look like without one of my double chins.
I don't even know what my chin looks like anymore, man.
I have a cleft in mine.
I just know that mine ends here. And that's all I know.
23.
23. The dad looks tired. But he seems healthy, just looks tired. Mom looks not tired. She just looks, she looks fine.
Okay.
We came here for you. The both of you. I'm not sure how to properly put this to words, but I had what I think may have been a vision come to me in my dream that both of you were ill in a bad way, and haste would be needed.
They glance at one another. Give me an insight check, Moonin.
Oh God, which one? You. A 19 plus 7. 26.
All right. The glance lets you know more than anybody else that seemed to trouble them. Like that conversation. On that note, your dad looks a bit more like his brow is a bit furrowed. He looks a bit concerned. The next words out of his mouth seem to be discordant with his look a moment ago, as he says, "Oh, we are fine. I am the very picture of healthiness. Look at me. I had the big breakfast. That is why I have not eaten anything."
Do I believe a word he said?
Insight check that thing. And you know what? No, based off of what you saw and then what he's saying, no, you don't believe a word of it.
Okay. You always were one to load up in the morning.
Breakfast like a king, lunch like a jack or a knave, supper like a peasant.
Well, tell me what's going on with the shop. How are things going here? You've been getting money I've been sending you. Yeah?
Oh, of course. When we've hired a little extra help, give someone some skills, if you will. You saw him earlier. Edstad. He's a good boy. A little loose in the head, cotton in the brain, but he is a good one. Yeah. After mostly hunting rifles now, not much need for military grade. but we still do business.
Good, good.
Your father stands up, kind of, not quickly. He stands up slowly a little bit, and he excuses himself for a moment as he heads to where the washroom or the lavatory to be. There is a whisper in your mind, like an inside voice that is familiar but isn't yours. Something isn't right, and you know it.
Kind of like do a head twitch and try and ignore it.
Your mother reaches out and like puts her hand on yours. Are you feeling all right?
Been
Is it a
traveling.
long trip?
Yeah.
As your dad walks back in, he is like dry. He's drying his hands on a towel, and he kind of like dabs at the corner of his mouth. Um, all three of you give me perception checks.
I'm looking at mom. That's a 10.
It's an 18, but my passive is 23.
Okay.
18.
As it's moving, you notice that like at the edge, there seems to be a little bit of red. It's bright scarlet. And he moves it away and like quickly hides it.
Does he seem to have any other like symptoms of tuberculosis? Does he seem to be like breathing heavier or having any other difficulties?
That would be a medicine check, please.
So another medicine check.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's a 27.
Nope. No other signs of that. And
Does
you
the
have not heard him cough.
Does the 27 give me any other information about that?
You notice that he seems to be walking with a bit of like forward lean. Like he's not walking upright. He seems to be walking with his, with his back slightly tipped forward. Um, and he seems to occasionally run his hand like over his like chest and stomach area, but you don't know if that's just a mannerism or what. Combined with the two and given what you've seen, your best guess is that this is an internal thing. But without knowing more and without running other tests, you're not really sure what's going on.
Okay, and would she know what test to run?
Is she field medic or is she doctor or because I thought she was a field medic and not a doctor, so she may not know.
Yeah, she is primarily a like field medic and like before and like she like trained under Nightingale. So she's like more nurse, but she also has
Mhm.
like some like surgery because being a field medic when there just weren't enough doctors to go around.
Most of your field medics would be able to do, I wouldn't say surgery based, but I mean, they would be able to do some basic, like know when to clip off major arteries and sutures and things like that. No, unfortunately, you would not know which tests to run. But I'll give you the fact that you definitely realize that something internal is going on.
Okay.
What other questions do you have for Mama and Papa?
Don't really want to push the subject with everybody here. I'll look to Mom and you sure you guys are okay?
She does the whole dismiss you thing, and she says, "Your father hasn't felt quite himself. I'm sure it will pass. Bit of a weakness in the stomach is all. It will be fine."
Have you had someone look at it?
Oh, and he this time steps forward. "I'm fine. I'm fit as I ever were. There's no need to worry about me."
Liz gives Moonin just like a slight tilt of her head, like enough that he knows her mannerisms to know that she sees something, but not she doesn't actually
Yeah.
outwardly say anything.
You give your code that something's not right here.
Well, we'll be in town for a few days. Gives us plenty of time to catch up. Why don't we help clean up the food and you can show us around the shop?
That would be lovely. Erstadt seems to stand up, and she waves him off, telling him, "Oh, go home. We will call you again when we need you." And he nods his head up and down vigorously. Your father pushes a small bundle into his hands. You can see that it's some leftovers from lunch that he's packed up for him. And he pats the boy on his head. "She really does like you. She's a hard one, but she likes you." And he just smiles and then waves goodbye. "Welcome home." And then he leaves, leaving the lot of you alone with the parents. Um, your father, as usual, doesn't say a whole lot as he cleans up. He's just kind of like humming to himself and putting things away. Your mother is talking about the shop and how much business they've done, and everybody wants those new fancy rifles with the filigree work and all the fancy things. What about you? Have you come across anything new to look at lately?
I mean, I still have the two you gave me, and I'll open my jacket.
You had better.
And then this, and I'll hold out even the other.
Oh, she, she does the proper thing. "Do you mind?"
Go for it.
Excellent. She takes it, and as she's looking at, you guys descend the stairs to the workshop. She sets it on the table where you see the tray that has like different springs and fittings and things like that. She deftly disassembles it carefully, pushing the magazine out, clearing the chamber to make sure there's not one round a round that's jacketed in there. She then strips off the slide, takes the springs carefully out, making sure that all the mechanisms are in place as she disassembles it. And she looks it over. She's like, "It's a beautiful piece. It's an unusual design, but it seems to fit well." And she carefully reassembles it, putting the slide back in, the springs back in carefully, making sure that all the mechanisms in the slide are back in place before she looks it over, and she's like, I mean, it's an unusual one with the design. I like that design." She takes out a piece of paper and a graphite stick, and she starts to sketch. Like, you've seen this before where she gets the idea for something and she'll start sketching it. And she sketches a version of what you have there, carefully looking at how the slide and the springs and everything go into place.
You'll have a better idea if I just let you shoot it. I
Her
know you
eyes go
want to.
wide, and she's like, "Yes." She leads you back out to the back of the shop, a spot that you're familiar with. There you see the stalls that you're familiar with and the range that's there. Targets are in place, made out of heavy wood, painted to show the different targets and with points marked in there.
You guys are going to want to see this. If you think I have a good shot, she's where I learned it from. Don't let her get you into a bet. She'll shark you.
Oh, my eyes, they're not as good as they once were. Come. And so she takes you back to one of the shorter ranges, and she stands carefully leveling the handgun before she squeezes the trigger, cleanly, but one short shot. The bullet flies and hits not center, just slightly off. And she looks at it for a second. It's sighted for your eyes, of course. I should have known. She lifts it again and fires two more, and they go. She walks it in. The next one hits just next to it, and the next one hits the target dead in the center. And she's looking at it, and she's like, "Why do I smell like lightning before a storm?" And off in the distance where the target is, you can see one of the rounds is still like.
It has a little extra oomph once in a while.
She looks at it and she sees the bullet now like arcing.
It's a bit sporadic, but I've had varied results of what the bullet does.
She picks it back up and fires the next round and straight in. And this time she doesn't even cup it or watch her stance. She just fires it in the target. Of course, it doesn't go near the center. She's not really trying to hit it. She's just trying to hit the target. And as she does, it hits and there's a small burst of like poof, fire for a second. Do they burn?
The bullet?
All of them, yes. They seem to do something different with the target. Fires another round and it hits normally.
I
You'll
mean,
have to explain this one.
most the ones I've been able to see visually have been ice, fire, and lightning. One sounded like a clap of thunder.
Of course, it was fired out of a gun. They all sound that way.
But a second one, not just the chamber.
You're telling me that your gun has magic on it?
Yes.
Well, I'll be out of business before long. No, they've got magic guns.
I mean, to be fair, I kind of needed one to survive the stories I told you.
Oh, I'm not mad at it. You have it, it's kept you safe. I'm just more upset that I can't magic my own guns.
Losing your sight, my ass.
Evelyn, I would like for my rifle to always hit the deer. Quick, I will magic this one up for you to never miss the deer.
Bullets only home to deer.
Yes. Unless you spell the spell wrong and the next thing you know it hits your deer. Yeah. I'm firing at the target and it hits your father in the rear. I want this gun to do magic so that it only hits the man who's stealing my chickens.
Well,
Yeah.
good good for business, at least with as tightly as these kinds of things are regulated. They're not very popular or available.
I guess a small thanks in order for that one. The She looks up at the window, like up above. Your father isn't being truthful, as always.
I
His
know.
stomach has hurt him. His stomach is hurting him. He cannot keep food down, or very much food down. And I saw a bit of blood in some of the clothing. He won't talk to me about what's going on. He doesn't want to worry me.
How about
Perhaps I should-
yourself? You kind of seemed a little off put earlier. Are you being honest with me?
I am. I'm. Nothing has racked these bones yet. I would not lie. I'm concerned.
Has no one looked at what he has going on?
Ah, unless I knock him out and drag him out of the store, he won't leave. Perhaps your big friend over there can help me.
What if I
Pointing
bring
to
2
Gage.
healers into the shop?
If you brought someone into the shop to look over him, that would be interesting. He wouldn't have anywhere to go. It might work.
I mean, these two, and I'll look over at Liz and Gej, have kept me very alive. They might have a bit more insight than I would.
Perhaps
This
they would.
Liz then pipes up and goes, "Yeah, from what I noticed is yes, there is something going on internally. I also noticed the blood, but I don't know how much of help I will be, but I'm happy to look at him."
If he would agree to it, that would be wonderful. But good luck on that one.
Well, we came all this way to check in. I feel like we could convince him to at least be looked at.
Let's do that. And she um, removes the magazine, makes sure there's not one round, and then she lays it on the stand for you to take back. It's a lovely piece. I will make many more in its like.
Picked up a rifle in my travels. It's not exciting, but it worked. A little finicky, but does its job.
Would you like me to tool it up for you?
You want to give it a look over?
Love to.
And for old time's sake, I will put the rifle on the stool and take both of her revolvers and put them next to it.
Mhm.
While I'm here, I'm sure you want to make sure they've been taken care of.
Of course, of course. And with that, she pats you on the arm and says, "Bring him inside. We will look over. We will look them over." And with that, she leads you back inside.
Before we confront Dad,
Hmm.
is my part of the shop still together?
Of course, we would not do away with that at all.
Cool. I'm just gonna go reminisce. It's been a while. Clean it up.
If you need help, I'm happy to help.
It's only dust.
True. Perhaps your friends will go and talk to your father, and I will work on your pieces that I gave you, and you can clean up. Does that sound like a plan?
I'll look to Liz and Gej and Emmer. Do you
Liz-
guys want to try
Liz
and talk to him?
nods.
I mean, Logie may be a stubborn man, but we traveled a very long way to make sure he was okay. And that makes for a decent bargaining tool.
I will definitely try. Again, I'm not a doctor. My training is in nurse.
I'm not a doctor, I'm a nurse.
But I mean, out in the field, I have, done amputations and listened, and I'm 99% sure that it isn't consumption. So
Consumption. Consumes us all in the end.
Well, if you think you can handle talking with him, I trust you.
I promise not to kill your father and bring him back to life.
You know he might listen to you if you do.
Command, sit still.
Stubborn old man.
Use command to tell him to sit. All right. So Moonin, you're going about your part of the shop.
Yeah. Actually, Emrys, you'd probably enjoy where I'm off to if you want to join.
Sure. Yeah. I'm no nurse or doctor. If anything, I just get my hands in the way.
Never been good
What's
with
that
arguing
do?
with him, so
That looks like
You
it
know.
hurts. Just poke it really hard.
Just poke.
Listen, the last time I got my hands on a body, it was already dead. So, and then I took a crystal that they were alive.
Just make sure to keep you away from any pants, and you should be fine. Pants and toilet bowls.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you two pop off to the shop. Mom is carefully cleaning the weapons that she gave you and inspecting the new rifle as our resident cleric and medics head up the staircase to meet up with Loki. The old man is, I say old man, the man is currently washing up some dishes and carefully placing them on a drying rack. As you come up the staircase, he turns and raises his eyebrows at you. Oh, hello, Moon and friends. Are you thirsty? Can I get you something to drink?
No, I'm not currently thirsty. But I thank you for your hospitality. And she doesn't really have the words to say, and she's saying them in Norwegian. But she goes, I was trained under Florence Nightingale. And I thought that since we came all this way, you might let me look at you. And she's like digging into her bag for like her stethoscope and like different things of that nature.
Um, do you wish to inspect me?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind. I just want to make sure that you're fully okay before we leave.
I am fully okay.
Would it hurt to check though?
I suppose not. And he stands up and starts like taking off his shirt, like pulling it over his head. Like, then he kind of looks at you for a second with his hands like on like the hem of his pants. Like,
She just
what
shakes
the?
her head and she goes, "No, no, I just need to listen to your lungs and your heart if you don't mind."
No, I don't mind. And he sits in the chair and he tries to sit up like straight and put his shoulders back, the way a man would try to carry himself. And he kind of winces as he does that, but he sits up. Eventually, he sits up like straight ish.
She nods and she goes and um she first listens to his breath sounds and she tells him to breathe every time that she moves the stethoscope, and she moves it about 12 places on the front and 12 places on his back. Does she hear
Um,
anything with his lungs?
no, she does not hear anything with his lungs.
She then moves it to the front and she like checks out his heart. So she moves it 5 different places to like check all the valves in his.
Okay. Um,
Is it an issue with his heart?
it is not.
She then goes and she listens to his stomach. She doesn't touch it before she listens. She just like looks at his stomach and then she like listens to it. Does his stomach appear to be abnormal?
There appears to be um it doesn't I mean, it doesn't sound abnormal. Um like right can't really right here it's really hard. Right in there.
All right, I'm not looking
That's
at.
right, you're not on camera.
Yeah.
Uh
So
In between the
right
ribs, like
right at the diaphragm, like right below the diaphragm. Like right where your like at the very top of the abdominal muscles, or the abdominal cavity. It's really taut.
so like stomach or like liver.
Probably more stomach.
Okay. She's also going to ask him to cough really deeply and to.
His lungs sound clear.
Yeah.
He coughs really deeply, and it seems as though he has no problem drawing in breath. So you're getting the idea that it's not anything related to his lungs.
And does he spit up blood? And if he does, what color is it?
There is no blood in that. There's no mucus or any discharge at all when he coughs.
Okay. She's gonna look at his eyes and she doesn't like. She would probably have a pen light. This is 1920, so she's gonna look at his eyes and just see if they like are reacting, and she's gonna move it around and like check his like neuro status as well.
Hmm. He seems to be fine. One of the things you do notice about him, and you don't having never met him though, I don't know that you would know this because you haven't met him before. No, I'm gonna hold on to that bit of information. So, um, his eyes respond, his neural responses seem to be okay. He's following your light. He's doing everything.
All right, and his pupils are equal and reactive.
Yep.
She asks him if there's any pain anywhere, and if there is, where would it be?
Um, he says, occasionally it's here, and he points again to like where his stomach, like stomach, top of his abdomen, lower part of his stomach would be.
Now, if she were to like put her hands on it, would it
Mhm.
feel any different, or would it just like feel hard? Like, does it feel like there's uh like a sensation underneath her hand, or is it just like a hard feeling?
It feels almost muscular more than like distension. That's what I was looking for. It feels more muscular than distension. Um, and he, as you push on it, like where, especially like on the left hand side or on the leftish of center where the stomach is, he winces. He groans in pain. Welcome to Diabetic Venturing Company, where we get super invested in our research.
She nods, and it's more muscle like she's very confused as to like what this is, considering that he didn't cough up blood and things of that nature. She's going to ask about his diet and if he's been eating like lots of like meat and things of that nature, or if he's had like a balanced diet.
He lets you know that his diet is um, hold on a second. Let me look at this. His diet is mostly well balanced. Um, he says he hasn't been able to eat a lot. He feels like really full lately, right after eating a few, like after just a little bit, like the little bit that he had at lunch, he felt really full after that little bit. He says he's been having some issues with keeping food down or feeling nauseous, stomach pain, and he kind of laughs. He says, "A good side effect to it." And he looks at his belt, and you can tell that he's like put new notches in it, and his like the belt is smaller, like he's lost weight.
She nods, and then she looks slightly embarrassed about the question that she's about to ask, but she goes, "Has your urine or your poop been any different than usual?"
The medical. Sorry. um, no to both of those.
Okay, well that explains that the bleed is probably upper versus lower. So it was an important question for her to ask.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you know that this is Norway, so we're going to give some player background here. Salted foods like salted fish, salted meats, and things like that are common in their diet, and not a whole lot of fruit and vegetable. I mean, there is some, but it's usually like tubers or salt, or not salt, but starch-based stuff. There are some, um, there are some other vegetables out there, but all of these could lead to one particular illness that I'm looking at, one particular disease.
You're either doing scurvy or pancreatitis, but I'm not entirely sure what it is.
Neither.
Is it gout? Because gout would have issues with his feet.
Nope. We've got pain in the stomach, nothing in stool or urine. We've
Is it
got
an
vomiting.
ulcer?
It is not an ulcer, but it is close. And he's got vomiting with blood in there, small amounts of food, and sudden weight loss. The sudden weight loss is one of our key factors here. Because sudden weight loss follows all of this disease, no matter where it appears in the body.
Today on Dire Bear, we bring you a nursing exam.
In
Yeah, no
Troubleshooters,
kidding.
we've done history,
Mhm.
geography, we've done linguistics. Now we're doing medicine.
We are well
And it's not an
diversified
ulcer?
campaign.
It is not. It can. I don't want to say it can have the appearance of that because it can, but generally that would have to be seen through things. It looks very ulcer-like, but it is not an ulcer. It is far
Is it
more
gastritis?
dangerous. It is not gastritis, unless I'm thinking gastritis is something else, but this is definitely more terminal.
I am unsure. Is it in the stomach? Is it a stomach issue
It
or is it
it
somewhere
is.
else?
It is in the stomach.
I'm just imagining Liz pulling out a giant book of stuff. And
She's like, where is Colm and his accordion right now? Keyword that I gave you is much more terminal. I think Otter knows. Like Otter's nodding his head. No? Okay.
Is it cancer? Is it stomach cancer?
Bing.
Say,
It
remember,
is
Oh.
indeed.
can't see you.
What's that?
Remember, she can't see you.
That's right. That is it. That's it. Bing. That's why I said bing.
It was so soft. I was like,
Yeah. I forgot she couldn't see me. There's only
Also,
3 of you on my camera that I can see, so I would probably like realize that, but
funnily enough, cancer is the next test that I take.
no, is it?
She just kind of
I will
moved
say
back.
to your credit, Vixen, all of those symptoms that I mentioned are factors for both gastritis as well as stomach cancer.
Yeah, yeah. So, she just kind of leans back and just kind of like she doesn't outwardly appear it, but like Gej would know that there's something wrong that she's found. Um, and she is going to try to do like a healing spell, and she's going to say, I have found something and I'm gonna try to fix it. And before she does that, she's gonna pray, and then she's going to just do like a slight healing spell and see if that helps at all.
Okay. So you're actually gonna pray. And what spell are you gonna do?
I think she's gonna do a prayer of healing. I
Okay.
think she's gonna try that.
Now that isn't an action. That's like it takes a minute to cast, or 10 minutes to cast? Takes a minute to cast, excuse me. So as you are bowing your head to pray, a warmth comes over you, and steady hands place theirs on yours. You look at the figure that's holding your hands, and it's not Logie. Logie is sitting in the chair, his head tilted and his eyes unblinking. It's as though the world around you were not necessarily frozen, but moving extremely slowly, as though trudging their way through the thickest molasses that they've ever seen, each movement taking nearly a minute before anything passes. But as you look at the figure that has its hands on yours, all you see is a halo of bright light where their head would be. It's as though they're standing with their back against the sun and you are staring at that. What you hear, however, is a voice. And it simply says, I understand your reticence to let this go. I understand your place to heal. This is a tragedy, and that is true. But not all things are meant to be cared for by you. This one is not yours. The circle must be completed. I will hold you as you weep, and I will lift you up when your knee should bend. You are my child, and I love you. But this one you must not do. Before the next word of the prayer falls from your mouth, you choke back. A great sadness, as though you've lost something, kind of washes over you for a moment and then is gone again. You stumble on the words for the prayer of healing, and in doing so, the spell is lost, but not the slot with which you would have recalled that spell from. So, in other words, the spell doesn't go off, but you don't lose the spell slot for it.
With that,
Mhm.
she just breaks down. Like, it's just this overwhelming, just sobbing. And she just goes, I'm so sorry. And she like rushes out of the house. And like once she like leaves the house, she
Mhm.
like falls down like right outside the house. Like she just doesn't want to be like where Loogie is while she's just bawling.
As you are there in the just outside the shop there on the sidewalk, just breaking down, uh, a man dressed in like coveralls. The jacket that he has on, although it's worn at the elbows, you can tell that it's a mariner's jacket, like a coat that somebody on a ship would wear. The patches give you the indication that it was a war vessel of some sort. As he sees you, he kind of walks over and he looks around as though he's trying to figure out like where you came from or anything. But he kind of like kneels down next to you and he like puts his hand like hovers his hand at your back and he says, there now, miss. All is well. You will be all right. Come." And he pats your back gently. And as he does, that warm feeling of like comfort washes over you again. And he like kind of stands you up and come on, you'll be all right. Here, I will give you a hug, okay? And he, uh-huh.
She's just too real distraught to do anything. Like she knows that it's like she has the apprehension against men and everything else,
Mhm.
but she's just like, you know what? I need this, and as long as he's not like luring me somewhere, I'm fine with just like crying and like being there.
He's a very fatherly gesture. And again, it's a comfort from this stranger that you don't know, but yet it's very familiar. It's a familiar comfort. As he lets you sob that out, however long that takes, as you start to catch your breath, he kind of like brushes your hair, brushes a hand over your hair, and he's like, "There, see, you're all better now. You'll be all right." And he pats you on the shoulder and leaves. You don't remember what he looks like, but you feel comforted.
She stops sniffling and just goes to try and find Moonin first. She
Mhm.
is still like tears down, like there's still like very like wetness like on
Like,
her cheeks, and it looks
mhm.
like she's been crying. But she's on her way to try and find Moonin.
Moonin, is your portion of the shop like out in the open noticeable?
It's in the shop.
Yeah, I mean it's just like a corner of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean he's easy enough to find.
When she finds him, she's going to softly say, Moonin, I think we should talk somewhere private, or you might want to involve your mother. But you might want to hear this news first.
I want to insight checklist.
Absolutely.
Just kind of try and get. Judging by the tears, I kind of know where this is going, but it's a lot. 25.
I
What
mean,
did he pick up from that?
Liz isn't trying to hide anything. She's not hiding anything. She's literally just told you what it is. Like you said, you can see that she's crying. She's clearly distraught about something. And you can probably figure out that it's from your dad, especially because she said that you might want to involve your mom on this.
I
But you
mean,
might want to know
especially
that your
since she was upstairs, ran downstairs, outside, burst into tears. And I'm full on like, I'm imagining not quiet sobbing on the side. I'm talking snot bubble, big crying.
yes, like huge tears, like just it was ugly. It was such like an
They-
ugly breakable like thing. Like she's almost surprised that you didn't come out after her.
The thing where your mouth gets cut on a loop, you're like,
So, to backpedal a little bit, I take Emrys over to one of the sides of the shop near a bunch of large windows, and you see a big, almost like reclinable chair in the center of the room. Strops on the walls.
Yes.
This used to be my solitude for a while I was still home. I found myself having a good time learning to barber.
Empress needs a shave. Get that fade in.
Do an undercut. And I'll just let the hair do a bit of an undercut.
No, I'm
Hey,
just
I
talking
wasn't
get like a
always
high and
all
tight like a
guns.
fade.
No, no.
I wasn't always all
I mean, if
bullets,
it's ugly, he can change it. It'll be fine, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I will
Changeling.
see the look on Emrys's face, and I wasn't always guns and bullets.
all of us. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. All of us can do different things in a lifetime.
But you would probably appreciate these. And I'm going to start whirlwinding my way through the shop cleaning, dusting shit off, making a bunch of noise, looking for something. And
Okay.
I'm going to come back up to Emrys with a wooden box with a latch on the front.
Back in the box.
Box! Yay!
It's
Yay!
bees! Just a swarm of bees in a box.
Bee! Not the bee! But they've been there for so long. When you open it, you expect them to fly out, but they're just all dead and they fall.
Oh,
Oh,
oh.
Just kind of sounds like paper crinkling. Just like
just husks of bees falling out. You're like, well, that wasn't as spectacular as I thought it was going to be.
no. This particular box is a knife sharpening kit.
Oh.
Does he
I
have
don't
his own razors?
I don't really have much use of this, and it is in very good shape. Maybe you could put some better use to it than I am.
You're sure?
I have a rapier. I don't really need these kind of stones.
Well,
And to be fair, have you ever seen me use my rapier?
you know, now that you mention it, I think you gave it to me for the longest time.
Yeah.
So you've just had like this empty rapier holder on your hip, and it's just like, I think I lost that to
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
in the confiscated
It's
goodies.
somewhere
So
in the
even
new
I
world.
don't have the rapier anymore. I'm just sitting here like,
There was no sentimental value. It was just an
Oh.
encase.
thank God.
Somewhere
Alright.
on the shore of a river in the new world. Is one of the indigenous people picking up a rapier like, the fuck is this?
But no, truly, I think this would do you well.
Well, I'll make sure to make good use of them. Thank
And
you,
that-
Moonin.
And then I'm going to continue rustling until I find a smaller wooden box.
Ooh.
And then this
And
one is going to probably have some very dusty, very nice razors in it. And I will start to set to task of rehoning them back into their proper form.
It just doesn't take you long. While they may have been sitting in the box, collecting dust on the box, the blades themselves are pretty much as you left them, so they were pretty sharp to begin with. But just making sure that they're oiled well, so that because they have been sitting for a bit.
Yep.
And it's about that time that Liz comes stumbling back in to talk to you about the situation. Kansu Papa.
I'm going to look at Liz, look at her face. I understand. But forgive me, I don't want to know just right now.
Liz nods her head and just goes, I'm so sorry that I can't help.
Well, it's definitely a conversation that needs to be had. And at least now we know the vision was just that, but only halfway, unless something's wrong with Mom that hasn't surfaced.
I know whatever your father has probably will not affect your mother, but I'm happy to look at your mother as well if you want me to after I go and get myself some almond cake because I just can't.
You go to the sweet shop and find nothing but salted licorice. It's a thing. They love salted licorice.
It is a thing, and Liz would probably not love it, but it would be like something of home to her as well. So she'd probably still take one. But how
Yeah,
dare they not have almond cake?
like Scandinavian, like salted, black licorice. Yeah, salted black licorice. It's don't look at me.
They also ferment toxic
Awful.
shark, which makes it not toxic.
Yeah, they also like pack fish in salt and let it ferment and get nasty and then eat that shit on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I think I understand why my family moved away. Actually, they got with the Irish part, and the Irish part said, "What the fuck are you eating there? You're not putting out of my potatoes." And so we all came to America.
Well, I will point Liz in the direction of the closest bakery.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you can find something that will soothe your sweet, loving soul.
And further pulling out more random pieces of wood from this shop area is this time a slab of wood that just says barber with 2 hooks on it.
He's putting out the sign.
And memories of home. Might as well see if anything comes in. And kind of solemnly walk outside and hook it on. Walk back to the chair and just kind of not know what to do with himself. Sit in the chair.
All right. The rest of your day is you reminiscing. Not a whole lot is said. It's actually kind of quiet at this point in time. As night falls, you guys have another meal around the table. Once again, your father eats a little bit, but not a whole lot. And you guys are ushered off. Your room is pretty much the only other room in here besides theirs, and they're like, uh, it's, it's like the accommodations. They do say that there is a lodging not too far from their house that you can stay at as well if you'd like to be more comfortable. Up to you guys to decide.
Liz didn't come back, so Liz would probably be wherever there would be lodging.
It's a lodging. That's fine. There is a basically what equates to like a longhouse. It's lodging in like a place to have drinks and gather and things like that. And there it is rowdy that evening in your area, and people are in and out. You see actually a gathering of elvish folk.
Liz goes up to them.
They appear to be like foresters or like hunters and trappers. They speak to you in Elvish and they invite you to come and sit with them and have a drink and ask you all about your travels and where you're from and basically take time to get to know you. You learn that they have lived here for what equates to about
She would.
70 years.
I'm sorry, you cut out in the middle of that.
Yeah, they've lived in this area for over 70 years, the group of them.
I've forgotten how old I made Liz, but I know that she left Norway like a while ago. And she was like raised by human parents, so she probably would not have known them from
Mhm.
back then.
Mhm.
But she would say something around she would tell them of her travels, and she would tell them, how she came to be and how it's nice that, they've been here for so long, and she wishes that she had explored this area when she was younger. Maybe her path would have been different. Maybe she would have been with them and things of that nature. She's just tinged with like slight sadness.
Mhm. They actually offer instead of staying at the lodging here this evening, they actually offer you to come back and stay with them at their place. When you get back, it's very much the trappings of home, so it's very like done up with decorations that would be more elvish. Even the design of the house is more lean and nimble, giving you this very lovely aesthetic of a blend of nature and function. Um, it's like a more um, Germanic version of some of the houses you saw in the New World.
That's exciting. She would have also have left like a note with the barkeep to like let.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
no
she's
problem.
happy, and she seems to be in better spirits coming to inside the house.
Yeah. All right. I guess Moonin and Emrys, Gej will probably take a lodging at one of the local places. Moonin, I take it you're staying in your room. Emrys, will you be staying there at the house, or will you be going to another place?
Oh,
Sleep on the floor.
yeah, sleepover. No, I would probably end up rooming with Gej.
Okay.
If anything, it's just out of habit now. We've probably roomed together the most out of the entire journey, so it's just
Yeah.
easier to room with Gej at this point.
I mean, you were cellmates, so it makes sense. All
We
right.
went
As you
through
guys
prison
take
together.
take
You know how it is.
yeah. As you guys take rest for that evening, Moonin, you fall asleep at some point in time, staring at the ceiling in your room. Um, most of the stuff that you had there is, of course, like it's cleaned out. It's still your room, and there are a few small things left that belong to you therein. As your head hits the pillow, and again you fall asleep fast, even though the troubles of the day still plague your mind, you find yourself falling, tumbling, your feet over your head over your feet. You try to catch yourself and right yourself, twisting and turning in the air. You only continue to somersault ever on. As you fall, it is not the eye and the deep voice that you heard before. It is something else. The eye is replaced by the image of a man. He is tall and slender, emaciated almost. He's just out of your vision's reach. You can make out the finer details. His hands open. You were right to come home. See, the visions that I give you were true and whole. Your father is not well. Your mother will soon be behind him. For as one goes, so the other falls. His healing was denied today. I can remove his pain. I can make him whole. I can help him to live out the last parts of his life until they meet a natural ending, not a disease-riddled one. Allow me this trapping. Allow me this small thing, a favor that is a trifle, and I will restore to you a treasure that knows no value, the life of your father, and the health and well-being of your mother. Do we have an agreement?
Speak your favor, and I'll think about it.
That place that you went, where I was not able to see you. Take
Blue.
me there.
I don't have the ability to do that.
Oh, I'm sure you can find a way. Morning, Logger-san. His hands come together, and as they stretch apart, you can see them at a distance. Like it looks like when you have slime between your hands, it kind of like has that elongated feeling. And as he does that, it starts to solidify until it becomes a very familiar looking purple shard. He moves his hands like this, and it drifts across that void that you're still tumbling, and you find yourself writing as it floats just a reach away from you. All you have to do is reach out and take it. Your friend found a way through. Simply go back and leave me there. That is all. A small favor. And I'll restore everything to you. Do we have an agreement?
You want me to drop your existence into an unknown place. For what purpose?
So that it may be known to me.
I didn't understand much of what I saw.
I don't need your understanding, just your acquiescence.
And in the time it would take me to convince the other to go back, they'll be dead. At least by what you say.
I will heal them now. But, and this time he gets in so close, he zooms in like in a flash, and all you can see is that one eye that's peering at you, the same eye that you saw all over again in every vision you've had. And again, the voice, if you wrong me, I will snuff them out like tea lights. You feel the wind and the pressure of this all as it zips back. And again, he is at a distance, just out of range of your vision where you can make out any finer details. This shape of a man in the distance. So, take my essence into that place where I couldn't see. I will heal your parents. Cross me, and I will snuff them out.
Die is so hard to read. Today has been a very long day. I am not about to make a deal with you under duress. I will think upon your offer.
I am a benevolent being. An hourglass, large, appears. It flips over. I will give you until tomorrow evening. Think long and hard. Logi-san. Sleep. And all you remember from there is darkness. No dreams, no visions, just sleep. And that is a perfect place for us to stop for this evening. As you will take the next little bit to ruminate over what you will do, we are going to call it for this evening. I want to thank all of my players for being here. Guys, we will see you hopefully next week. Voodoo had something that they had to attend to this evening, but we will hope to see them all again next week. Don't forget, tomorrow night we have Scion with Worlds at War. Jason is getting close to the end of that game. I gotta really check and see how many episodes he thinks he has left, and then we'll move on to a new game. And from what I've seen in there, I'm getting some Jedi in there, but I might be wrong, so I'll have to ask him.
I think they're planning for I think the 7th.
The 7th? Awesome. In the meantime, you guys, thank you all for coming out and supporting us tonight. Don't forget, I will be in Fort Wayne, Indiana in February for Winter Fantasy if you guys want to come out and hang out with us. If you are in the Indiana area, tickets are not expensive, and it's Adventurers League, it's D&D, Wild Beyond the Witchlight, Dreams of the Red Wizards. We've got Moonshade trilogies. We've got Ravenloft Mist Hunters, all sorts of things to come and play Eberron. If you like that, you can come and play with us. Let's see. Other announcements. Don't forget, some of our shows are not going to be here for December, so you might as well get used to that. And again, we will be doing a shutdown for 2 weeks during the holidays. And thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget, this tomorrow night is Scion. Wednesday night, we have Fall Skull and Knights. That's right. JT is there, and you guys should really check it out. JT is a fantastic storyteller, and he's just a great DM all the way around, so go give him some love and support. Don't forget to hang out here. We're going to go raid somebody and check them out. Let's see. What other announcements have I missed? I don't know. I'm sure there'll be more announcements as we go.
I think that's about it for right now.
Yeah. Join us on the Discord. Join us on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on the Facebook. Join us on the Discord. All those things. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Hang around. Raid. Thank you all so much. Have a good night.